I don't like to be that guy, Greg Wyshynski, that does the, hey, let's beat up on the producer and make it a bit on our show. I've always felt that was lazy. And producers do a lot. Like, they have the nerve to keep this thing afloat and do a lot of the heavy lifting that we don't want to do and stay up till all hours and do the unsexy stuff. Like, it's a really important... Actually, as a quick aside about the industry, the one place where radio, specifically sports talk, has always fallen down is they don't pay their producers enough, and that's why you get the productions that you do in sports radio, and that's why I can't speak to the United States, but specifically in Canada, things have really fallen apart. That is for a different show, though. But... Philly.
No, things have fallen apart here in America as well. I can tell you from firsthand experience that things have definitely fallen apart here in America.
Oh, okay. I was unaware. I stay in my own little.
And also the radio production.
My own snow globe.
Production's not good either.
Oh, okay. I'll get out on my snow globe here and sort of look around. What's going on? Let me have a peek on that meme where you walk in with the pizzas. Let's see what's happening with our neighbors to the south here. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, Zach.
Producers.
So Philly's going to be like such a star in this industry one day, and I really mean that legitimately, but not if he pulls stunts like this. I just want to know the backstory on something. So every day, Philly puts out the promo for the show, and today it's MVSW time. So there's Greg, and there's a quick little bio and a couple of points that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the late Larry Brooks here in a couple of seconds, but he also puts on, as our man NHL Ties used to refer to him, Tie 99, in reference to the Wayne Gretzky of ties, Drew Remenda. So under Drew Remenda, it says, Sharks broadcaster, true. Celebrini, Smith, and more. We will talk about those things with Drew. Sharks start to the year. I would have chosen season, but now we're really sort of quibbling here. It's not a year, it's a season, but I digress. And then joins us at 1:30. Now, above that, he has a descriptor of what's going to go on the show, and he says, then Drew Remenda joins to talk Sharks and elite, wait for it, neckties, as opposed to ties.
Right.
Slot versus slot area. Goal.
Oh, come on.
Versus...
That's not the same. not
He could be talking about zip ties. He could be talking about ties when we used to have them in overtime back in the 1980s.
No, okay.
He could be talking about the classic sitcom Family Ties with Tina Youngers. He could be talking about any number of things.
Michael J. Fox on that one too. Philly, did you say neckties because you thought people might confuse it with actual ties? Is that why? I mean, honestly, like, was that like a speed bump in your brain when you wrote this morning?
Okay. Usually when I write these, I'm trying to think of every situation that somebody could have a kickback on, where they could like chirp at us or be like, wow, way to say ties in this one, where we're talking about 0-0 and Billy Smith back. Like, no, we're not doing that. We're talking about ties. So I was like, let's avoid this and let's clarify neckties.
Right.
The first thing Jeff says to me when we sit down before the show, neckties. Why'd you put neckties? I'm like, fuck this. Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
That's how petty. I don't want to say that that's how petty I've become. I want to say that's how petty I've always been. That feels more. That feels more comfortable. Anywho, I understand why he did it. I just wonder if like the origin story behind why he put neckties, and I do wonder if he's going to call it ice hockey from now on. Was because
I think your point's taken though, because neckties is a very sort of archaic descriptor, but I think it does come from like the 50s and 60s. Go get dad a necktie for Father's Day. But why did they refer to it as a necktie? What were they differentiating it from back in like the 1950s? What did a tie?
They had ties in sports. Maybe.
I don't know. Sports?
No, I don't. But they used to have ties. I was having an interesting conversation with someone yesterday morning about ties and about the shootout and about the extra point, which has kept things so lovely in the NHL right now, where we only have, I believe, when I checked yesterday, I haven't looked today, it was 5 teams that are under 500 in a 32-team universe. We should say NHL 500, not actual 500, but I digress. And the point that I was trying to make about ties was, I don't know about you, Greg, or anyone watching or listening right now, are there not some games that you watch and you say, nobody deserves to win this? Like, this should be a tie. Like, both these teams, like, neither team really deserve to win this game. Let's call this one a tie. Like, we've all had that experience, right? Like, that's not unique to my pea brain here, right?
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I was just checking out the stats, by the way. So we have, as of last night, 268 games played. 74 of them have gone past regulation. 51 of the 74 have been decided in the 3-on-3 before the shootout. That's 69%, let's round up, of the games that go to overtime are decided in the 3-on-3. That's a little bit down from last season, but honestly, since the 2021-22 season, Marek, we have been around 69 to 72% of the games that go to overtime are settled in the 3-on-3 versus the shootout, which is holding steady and a better percentage that we had even 10 years ago. Now, let me talk about the charity point for a second, because I've been thinking about this too. Because there are certainly some teams that are benefiting from it at this point in the season. Mm-hmm. I am, as you know, a 3-2-1 man. Give me 3 points for a regulation win. Give me 2 points for an overtime or shootout win. But as part of that philosophy, we got to have the charity point. Now, there is a part of me that would love just wins and losses. Let's clean up the NHL standings so they don't look like you're looking at the Matrix. You know, let's make it simple, right?
Yeah.
But as a kid who grew up in the 80s with, you know, a very much smaller league, but also tie games, I recognize the achievement of finishing regulation in a tie. If I'm going to give extra credit to the teams that win in regulation, I have to give some credit beyond the opportunity to salvage 2 points for playing your team to a stalemate through 60 minutes of actual hockey. So I've come around philosophically on the charity point that if I'm going to be in favor of the 3-point regulation win, which I am very in favor of, then I have to be in favor of somebody getting a little something for the effort for tying a team through 60 minutes.
You and I have talked plenty about the shootout and the value of the shootout. And okay, granted, there does have to be some type of mechanism for a tiebreaker that both the NHL and the NHL Players Association, let's not forget about them, can agree upon, because these players cannot be expected to play an extra 15 minutes of 3-on-3 on a regular basis. But hold on a second here. I think one of the issues is it feels like a letdown way to decide the game when you do the shootout at the end, which you may look at and say, well, that should be the natural conclusion of a game. If you can do a tiebreaker, dummy, you do it after you do the 5-on-5 and then you do the 3-on-3.
Oh, this isn't the dumb thing I think you're going to say.
Before the game.
God, I hate that so much.
And here's why. Here's another reason why. Here's one more reason why. Okay, there's the establishing the tiebreaker, but the other one, and this is where, you know, the GM wants something and the president wants something. This is where both sides can sort of have what they want. You get people in the arena on time, and you probably get them there early so they can start to buy things and they can start to drink things.
Do you understand why people don't get to the arena on time? It's not because they're dilly-dallying and they just don't want to have to see the player introductions. It's because they're stuck in friggin' traffic. They have kids. They're getting kids out of school. That's the reason people don't arrive on time. And by the way, where's this punctuality on a podcast that starts 3 minutes late every single time we do it?
Maybe we need to do a shootout. We need to do a shootout before the show. That's why we do a shootout before the show.
The thing about the shootout before games, and this is something I've heard people talk about, is do you like the idea of the sword of Damocles dangling over the head of one of these teams during the game, knowing that they're going to lose if they don't win in regulation or overtime?
Because the tiebreaker has already been set. Yes, that way you'll go home feeling at least as if it wasn't decided by a shootout. It was decided 5-on-5, or considering it's going to be the sword of Damocles 6-on-5, because you're going to have a tie game and one team is going to pull the netminder.
Even as somebody who finds the shootout boring and deflating, you'll
take it over this?
I still acknowledge that holding it at the end of the game gives the game a sense of finality. It gives you a sense of either catharsis or frustration because your team either won or lost. I do understand from an animalistic standpoint why we would have this at the end of the game versus the beginning of the game. I don't like that idea at all. I have to be honest with you. I've never.
Here's why I like it. because
to me, you might as well just start the game with a possession arrow or a coin flip to see which team has the advantage at the end. And if the other team doesn't win in regulation or the overtime, then they get screwed.
Here's why I like it too. You ready for this one? There's something we carry with us every single day, and that is the ever-present, sometimes existing in the shadows, never to be talked about in polite society, reality that death will greet us all one day. And we carry that our entire lives, Greg Wyshynski. And if one team has a tiebreaker set before them, they carry with them throughout the entire 60 minutes and then the 3-on-3, the knowledge that if things don't change, it ends for them. See, I'm always looking to draw metaphors between life and hockey, and that's one of them for me.
I don't have the Bergman-esque existentialism that you have about the shootout, but I will say that there is a part of your argument that I like because that's what I apply to the 3-point regulation win. To me, the idea that you have a late season game between two teams in the same division, and one of those teams is chasing the other, and one of those teams knows that with a regulation win, you could give the other team a goose egg in the standings whilst you earn 3 points against them. I think that's the carrot that I'm looking for. Like, you want the carrot of, we know who the shootout winner is already. I want the carrot of, I can limit my opponent to getting no points and also get an extra point for winning if it's a 3-point regulation win.
All right. This conversation will never end until things change after the 60 minutes. So let's
on and on, my friend.
Move along and remind you the blueprint, which is what's coming up on the program today, which we've already started 13 minutes ago, is powered by FanDuel. Download the app today and play your game at FanDuel. It is Thursday. That means it's MVSW time with the one and only Greg Wyshynski from ESPN and ESPN.com. Also, we'll talk plenty about the passing of Larry Brooks. We'll talk about some of the shocking performers around the NHL. We will talk to the great Drew Remenda. No one does a tie better than Drew Remenda. I don't care whatever sport you're talking about. Tie 99, Pat Manager from Seattle, the former NHL ties. Well, of course, that would be ties that go around your collar.
Of course, we're talking about
neckties.
Bonnaroo tie-dye, Zach, is what we're talking about.
Yes, clearly. Which led us into a robust discussion about the shootout. Okay. Terrible news to wake up to this morning, the passing of Larry Brooks of the New York Post. I first got to meet Larry and talk to Larry. Jesus was probably 2001, maybe 2000. I think when I really started to dig into this part of my career, and then that really hit its zenith when I would have him on the show that I did with Bill Waters, Leafs Lunch, during the lockout of 04-05, where Larry Brooks was very much a proponent and supporter of the players' side of that lockout, and was in a lot of ways a thorn in the side of the National Hockey League, something that's that he always, I think, cherished and relished. I think he always enjoyed being that the guy taking a swing at the piñata. Anyhow, Slapshots was a must-read. One of the most influential hockey writers of this or any other generation, an honored member of the Hockey Hall of Fame. Your thoughts on the passing of Larry Brooks? And listen, it's tough not to say the name and not think of the John Tortorella exchange so many years ago as well. But your thoughts on the passing of Larry Brooks?
Do we have that, by the way, Zach? The Torts exchange with
do we have Brooksy? It? Yes, we do.
You should ask him.
Are you answering no questions or what?
I guess that's what I'm saying, Brooksy. You get that through your head?
I guess so.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a waste of time.
Well, then get the fuck out of here, then.
I am.
Okay, see ya. Next question.
Larry just standing in there with Torts, just dragging it out of him.
And I have been in that. I've been in scrums where that is happening. I was in a scrum on cleanout day for the Rangers one year where Dan Boyle refused to talk to anybody in the media if Larry was in the room. He was that upset at Brooks. Like, and he brings that out of people. So, okay, so let's start with the fact that I grew up reading him, which is not something that I can say about a lot of hockey writers. because I grew up in New Jersey. My access to hockey writing at the time was the New York newspapers, and that'd be like Frank Brown. That would be Rick Scher at the Star Ledger, and that'd be Larry Brooks. And Brooks was a guy who, for the better part of 40 years, wrote a column in the New York Post and wrote stories about the New York Rangers, and was the voice, probably the most important voice in New York hockey. And, you know, it's a crowded market with a lot of sports. And as hockey fans, we've got to kind of like scratch and claw to find information and to get, you know, our news to us back in the day. And Brooks's column every Sunday was an island. You know, it was an oasis. It was a chance for us to experience the kind of hockey writing and the kind of like rumors and innuendo and insight and hot takery that you'd probably find in Canada. Growing up to become a blogger and an online columnist, Brooks and I had our battles, man. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I've told the story before about how there was one year where he, in the span of like a week, argued against fighting in hockey and then argued that the Rangers needed an enforcer. And I called him out on it. And then a month later, I saw him on press row at a Capitals game. And I was saying hi to all the New York writers that were coming to DC to cover the Rangers and Capitals. Yep. And I got to Larry. I'm like, good to see you, Larry. And without looking at me, he just goes, go F yourself. Only he didn't say F. And then he repeated it. And that is part and parcel of the kind of love-hate relationship we had with each other, but also the kind of guy that he was. And I've come to realize that there are certain people in life to which you have to admit that is an endearing thing that they've said to you. that is, you know, they cared enough to say it, I think would be the way I would phrase it.
Hang on. Is it safe to say that if Larry Brooks told you to go F yourself, you shouldn't feel special?
You shouldn't feel special. I think he's probably said that a lot.
Yeah.
But, you know, here's the thing about him. I think that we all have heat with people in our lives, right? I think the heat that I had with Larry eventually got turned down a bit. I'd like to say that we had an understanding about each other in the fact that we tactically do this job in different ways and certainly believe in different things. But maybe there was an acknowledgement at the end that we both make life interesting. And that's the thing I was thinking about a lot with Larry today, is that I didn't always agree with what he wrote, and I didn't always agree with how he wrote it. But the world was such a much more interesting place with him in it. It's the best compliment I could pay somebody. Like, you were such a unique one-of-one guy. Yeah. And your outlook was so unique. The things you wrote, like Marek said, like, this guy was basically the voice of the NHLPA in a lot of ways at a time when the NHL crushes that sometimes with the amount of media attention they get and the amount of outlets that they have to get their message out. He was a unique guy. And the other thing about him, too, that I was thinking about today, two things real quick. First of all, incredible mentor, not only to our friend Molly Walker, who I know was extremely close to him, but also he was a guy that reached out to my friend Emily Kaplan a lot to check on her and her career. Like, he's a guy that really supported young writers, in particular young female writers. And the other thing about him, too, is that I think he was uniquely a newspaper guy. I know that we could get slap shots online. I know we can go to the New York Post. We all have to then click the no, I don't want to block ads on this site to then read something that's been inevitably paywalled anyway. We've all gone to the New York Post and experienced this, but it was, he was never a guy that was like, I mean, he had a podcast and such, but he was never a guy that I felt like was writing for the web. You know, he was a guy that was writing. So you're on the subway and you open up the New York Post and you're seeing his byline and his picture, and you're consuming that column in the way it should be consumed.
Everybody in New York read, like, all hockey fans read Slapshots, and like everybody every Sunday gobbled this one up. I was trying to think about this afternoon, like, who could I compare Larry to? And the person that I keep coming back to is Red Fisher of the Montreal Gazette, who was incredibly powerful, and his word carried such weight to the point where there's a story where the Maple Leafs were trying to trade Wendell Clark and Gary Lehman to Montreal. Shane Corson was one of the pieces coming back, and there was one more, and apparently Red Fisher caught wind of it and called Serge Savard and said, if you make this deal, I will run you out of town.
Oh my God.
And Savard never made the deal after getting that sort of that threat from Red Fisher. Now, he may have been in his time the most powerful of all hockey writers. You know, there used to be the old joke, like Montreal has always had two general managers, whoever actually is getting paid for it, and Red Fisher. That's who ran the Montreal Canadiens. And, you know, in his height and at the height of his powers, I always got the sense that in the back of everybody's mind with the New York Rangers, there was always that before you make a move, what is Larry going to say about this? Mm-hmm. What is Larry going to write about it? He may not have wielded that sword the way that Red Fisher did, but he was at a level where you always say to yourself, okay, one of the conversations we need to have here, group, is how is Larry at the Post going to react to this? And I think that is also one of the biggest compliments you could pay too.
Especially because he had such incredible sourcing within the Rangers organization, you know, all going all the way up the ladder. Not everybody has that. Not everybody can get that. And so one of the things I always liked about him is when you were in the Rangers locker room, he was so ingrained in that organization and put in so much time with that organization that he could just sit next to Chris Kreider and talk to him for 20 minutes. Now, it's not a scrum. We're not coming over to talk to him. We understood that is Larry's time to talk to the players. Yeah. And that was the kind of relationship he had with guys. Two other things real quick. First of all, Professional Hockey Writers Association, we have a lot of meetings. A lot of the time, the meetings are held without anybody saying anything. You could always count on Larry Brooks to be the guy to say, this is dumb. Why are we doing this? Shouldn't we rethink this? And sometimes he's right and sometimes he's wrong, but it's always good to have somebody that does that. And in the end, I think he made the organization a lot better because of his opinions and because of the change he tried to enact. And, you know, like I said, I can't, I will mea culpa something here, in the sense that I often thought about Larry and the way he wrote, and it didn't strike me as him being Hall of Fame worthy. It's something that I think I've written. It's something I've probably said. But in thinking about it today posthumously, I get it now. I was wrong. I think I was looking at the delivery of his journalism versus what he represented and the impact that he had on others and the impact that he had on the industry, and certainly the impact that he had on hockey in New York. Like I definitely, in hindsight, think I was really short-sighted on his career, which, by the way, spans all the way back to 1988 when he was the director of communications for the New Jersey Devils. And you can see Larry Brooks in the video of Jim Schoenfeld and Don Koharski with the Fat Donut. He's in the video. I think I really underestimated the amount of impact that he had in the industry, and I think he's very worthy of the Hall of Fame honor that he got. I was wrong on that one.
What I thought was, honestly, bluntly, like just beautiful to watch was the relationship that he had with colleague Molly Walker. You mentioned her, and Emily a couple of seconds ago. That was to me was one of the most beautiful things in our industry that I've seen unfold in the last few years. Like that relationship, the mentor-mentee type relationship, and how much of an active interest, like real significant interest, he took in helping Molly Walker take steps in his career. There are a lot of people that in our industry that you've heard the old expression, get to the top and kick the ladder down. Like that was the opposite of Larry. And the other thing about this industry too, and this is why, there are some people that get sort of, frustrated by it because it's very demanding and there's a lot of travel and there's a lot of late nights and there's a lot of missing things with your family because of the realities of covering this sport where the season is so long. And now it seems like the season never ends and it's even more challenging to be a proper parent through it. A lot of people get hardened by the end, right? And they get frustrated by it and they end up hating the thing that gave them their livelihood. You see it all the time, right? I'm sure, like as I say this, Greg, and anyone watching or listening is having the same, like, this person, that person, that. They hate what they're doing, but it's all they know how to do, and they can't get out of it, and they hate it because it's left a sort of a broken trail of kids here and kids there, and this is my third wife or this is my second husband. It's really, really hard not to hate the thing that you're covering and say, this is responsible for what's happened to me in my life. But watching Larry Brooks helping to mentor the brilliant Molly Walker through this stage of her career, I would always say to myself, like, how great would it be if everyone starting in this industry had that? Because the idea of mentorship in media right now, it does not exist. It doesn't exist at all. It's like you're the little baby robin that's been dropped out of the nest, and it's, all right, fly
because they're coming for you. Because you're like looking over your shoulder more than anything else, right? Like you said, you're kicking the ladder out. Yeah, I mean, and the other thing too about Larry is that, I mean, he loved what he did. He loved stirring the shit. He loved asking the tough questions. Like, I mean, that's part of the reason he was able to do that for Molly and others, is because he himself, maybe, he got sick of the grind. We all do, but he didn't get sick of the beat. He didn't get sick of the job. He didn't get sick of the platform. And that was evident through his final days when he was still tweeting and writing, man.
Our condolences to the family and the friends of Larry Brooks. I don't know how you pivot to something from hockey before you bring on Drew Remenda here in a couple of moments, but anything jump out at you from last night or the last couple of days around the NHL? Other than, someone asked me a question this morning and said, is this the most mediocre looking NHL that we've seen in a while? Again, we're only on November 13th.
What does that even mean?
It means that the reason Colorado looks so great is because everyone around the Colorado Avalanche just looks so average. Like, the Avs are the standout right now.
The reason why somebody would say that is because all of the teams that have been good over the last several seasons outside of Colorado are kind of like stumbling and bumbling a little bit. Like, it's hard to really say that the NHL is at peak performance when the Lightning looked the way they did last night against the Rangers, or you have the Oilers up and down, and Florida being a broken team. A lot of that has to do with injuries, obviously, for some of these teams. Yeah. But it does feel like a little bit of an upside down league. It's hard to say the NHL is at its peak right now when you have teams that literally didn't exist 3 years ago challenging for a playoff spot, like the Mammoth are. The thing I took away last night was I watched the Devils Chicago game.
Simon Nemec.
What I took away.
Who needs Quinn Hughes? You don't need Quinn Hughes. You don't need Quinn Hughes. Keep him in Vancouver. Keep him in Vancouver. You don't need him.
A hattie for Nemec last night. And like, I hadn't watched a full game of Bedard in a bit. He's kind of like Jack now, in the sense that every time he touches the puck, there's a little bit of panic in the defensive zone now, and he's controlling it and doing things and looking for opportunities and creating. It's exciting to see, like, the maturation. And Gretzky pointed this out last night on TNT as well. Has anyone had an exponential size jump like Bedard year to year? He's so much bigger now than he was. Even a year and a half ago.
He's thicker, like, he's stronger. He's always had, like, the calves and the quads and the forearms.
Yeah, but now he's like Tarasenko out there. It's crazy. Like, what is happening?
Well, here we're going to talk about someone who's always been and probably always will be compared to Connor Bedard, and that's Macklin Celebrini. Here to talk about Macklin Celebrini, the San Jose Sharks, and how you get the dimple on the tie, because nobody does it better than Tie 99. Our man, Drew Remenda. Drew. I thought you were, I'm like, okay, Drew, I'm going to give you 5 minutes if you want to go and throw on a tie really quickly. We've spent like 5 minutes off the top of the show bigging up like how you're Tie 99. You're Tie Gretzky.
You don't, but you know as well as I do, you don't put it on until you got to put it on. You don't go wasting your talents for a shinny game. Right?
That's what we are. Right, shitty game. I love it. Oh, Drew, you're the best, buddy. It is. First of all, so good to see you again. So good to hear your voice.
Good to see you, pal.
Just a quick reminiscing back in the OG days of MVSW. I mean, we used to talk about how that the Sharks broadcast the Cadillac of all of it, and that turned into this website. By someone who I've become like really good friends with, a guy from Seattle by the name of Patrick Manager, who used to judge the ties every night. And you were called Tie 99, which is the ultimate compliment. You are the Wayne Gretzky of ties. Okay, I got to ask you, because I was sort of on my own figuring out how to do a tie. Did you ever have that, like, son, I'm going to show you how to do a tie. Now, this is a Windsor. Like, did you have that, or did you figure it out on your own?
No, I had it from my dad, Bill Remenda, who was a goalie in the old Western League, played with Freddie Sasakamoose and a few others way back in the day. Brad McCrimmon's dad, Brad and Kelly McCrimmon's dad. So, Dad was an electrician. He was also an umpire. He was also a goaltender, and he had 4 children by the time he was 23. He and my mother, and he also worked at the Hudson Bay Company in the clothing department.
Wow!
And,
there you go.
Yeah, and one day he taught me to tie a tie, and my father was old school. He was a big fan of spare the rod, spoil the child type of thinking, and he made me get it right. And after that, I watched a lot of James Bond growing up.
I was hoping you said
Seriously.
I was hoping you said that.
and really, Pierce Brosnan was the one that kind of threw it over the top for me, saying, okay, that's how you got to do it. And that's so I have a lot of what people may not know, and I know we're going to be about Macklin, but I have the ability to tie a tie. I have the ability to iron like nobody you've ever met in your life, and shine shoes.
Really?
I have those three qualities, and then pretty much nothing else.
Well, here are my 3 qualities. I can say that's a bad pass. I think that's offside, and we'll be right back. That's what I have. Those 3 things.
I gotta tell you, I fancy myself a pretty good ironer too, Drew. But I gotta admit, my wife turned me on to this spray, this wrinkle spray that you can use.
Downy wrinkle spray.
Yeah, the Downy wrinkle spray that literally magically gets wrinkles out of clothes if you just flatten it out. And I'm just drenching all my shit in it now. Like, I don't think I've whipped out an ironing board in my house in like a year. And I'm probably dying slowly. I don't know what's in this thing, but it's been really nice to not have to iron.
I do both. I have it on the ironing board. I use the wrinkle spray, and then I iron over it. Listen, perfect. I could get into a lot of my OCD and absolute complete annoyances of that I have in my life. But I think I wear them proudly.
let me before we get to Celebrini, the rest of the Sharks, between the legs, the pass between the legs on the Colin Graf goal the other night. We're gonna get there, Drew. Don't worry. One final thing: have you ever had a player ask you, how do you get your knot like that?
Oh, I have everybody ask me how I get my knot like that. Everybody asks me. Some guys just say, like Mike Greer. Mike Greer is the one that the Sharks GM. I go say hi to him before every game and beside his office, and he just does this. Yep, again, and that's it. That's it.
You go, Greg. This is awesome, man.
That's all I got. That's all I got.
No, but it's good. Like if you're gonna be known for one thing, man, like come on, that's elite ties. Shoot, Wish.
Right, let's get on the Celebrini tip because this is the kid we want to know about.
Oh boy.
Listen, he's been on this trajectory now. We kind of knew that he was going to be the player that he's been this season, but I don't think we necessarily thought he'd have the point total this season. Do you see anything in particular year over year about Macklin that's enabled him to get off to the start?
This is so cliche to say, but it's absolutely true. It is the fact of he's first on the ice, last off the ice. He continues to try to be as good as he can be all the time. He is a guy that when you look at his game and you I think I lost you guys.
No, we're here. We're here. You got us.
Oh, you said, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Got you.
When you look at his game, it freaked me out when they did the split screen, and now I lost you.
We're trying to spotlight your wallpaper, man.
No,
you got a hell of a setup there.
I'm at the hotel in Calgary.
Oh man, I was going to say it looks like an Airbnb or something.
You should see some of the artwork. What?
Do you hang on? Do you have hang on? Is that a picture of Oscar Wilde on the wall?
Yeah.
Oscar Wilde. Now, it was always, I don't know if this is true or not. My favorite line by Oscar Wilde, and if it's not true, I want to make it true. Apparently on his deathbed, Oscar Wilde's final words were, well, either these drapes go or I go. And that was really...
He might say the same about the wallpaper. He might
Me
say the
being
same
on a
about
podcast
Paul.
with
it's
that
awesome.
wallpaper and a photo of Oscar Wilde officially makes this the campiest episode of the sheet that's ever existed.
This is so
And me
good.
talking about ties and ironing.
And you're talking about ties.
Wow,
Show's
people
awesome.
are going, who the is this
Yeah,
guy talking?
This is a show just to amuse me and Greg. Like honestly, like we're just gonna mark out and getting a chance to talk to Drew again and just like have our own fun.
Well,
Anyhow,
let me ask you another facet of the macro question, which is how much has the maturation of Will Smith led to the season that he's having?
Well, I might argue with the maturation of Will Smith just as far as his personality
hockey wise.
Okay, hockey wise. I asked both of them this on back-to-back games because I'm not very original. I asked Macklin. I said, how much does that chemistry and relationship you have with Will transfer to the ice? And Macklin gave me the usual type of, and Will was a little bit better, but not much. I mean, if you're interviewing those two guys, you better have about 20 questions ready for a minute and a half interview because they're very, they're kids, right?
they're young.
So and then I asked Will the same thing, and he said it has everything to do with it. So I'll give you a little thing about it's well documented. So everybody plays soccer before the games, right?
Yeah.
The guys go play soccer and play they keep the ball in the air type of thing. Well, Will and Macklin go just with themselves, and they go completely opposite. And it's just outside our broadcasting office door at SAP Center. And all they would do is just kick the ball as hard as they could at each other or anybody else or the door of our broadcast office. And there's been more than one occasion and it just it's so loud. And there's been more than one occasion that the old man comes out and opens the door and looks at him and goes, really? And then they start giggling and go, what? What's the matter? What happened? Did you hear something? Oh, stop. Do I have to call your parents? Knock it off. I go, yeah, okay. I no sooner close the door than another one racks right off of that door, right?
Of course.
They've broken ceiling tiles now, but this year it's football. Now they're throwing the ball at each other as hard as they can to see if they can catch it. And when they do, I'll be out there every once in a while watching. And when they do, like Will Smith will grab it and look at me and go, can't teach that. Can't teach that. They're fantastic as far as that energy that they have. It's silliness, but it's a vibe that brings so much energy to the team. And that relationship they have is so real, and then you can see it on the ice. But Will's game has really picked up. Like Will's a thinker, man. That the overtime goal, it was a great pass, but on that play, Will's jumping in to help on the forecheck. He falls. He gets actually a little nudge, falls, gets back up and backtracks like crazy with Sam Dickinson, stops a 2-on-1, and then after the Sharks gain possession, he makes the change, and then Graf comes on. Yeah. So I think that the Will and Macklin thing is, yes, it's great chemistry on the ice, but off the ice, it's as real as it gets. So I think it's people are making comparisons all the time, but I can't compare them to anybody else that I've seen with San Jose, and we've had some pretty darn good players.
It's been so much fun, and that pass to Colin Graf. I thought about. I'll tell you who I thought about. I thought about a conversation that I had with Jordan Eberle, and we were talking about his first goal. And as we can all remember, this Edmonton versus Calgary, right? It's the one where he dangles everybody, jock straps are spinning, water bottles are popping, he's deking everybody out. And this is a few years ago at the NHL Media Tour, and he said, yeah, but you know what? If I was in the same position right now, this is how old I am. This is the difference. Yeah. Right now, I'd shoot far pad for the rebound. I wouldn't even think about it. And I was watching Celebrini make that play, and I'm like, I really hope he doesn't get to the point where he's just going to go, it's too risky to make that pass between the legs to get at the Colin Graf. I'm just going to shoot far pad and shoot for the rebound. I just hope that never happens to Macklin Celebrini, that always, if we watch the highlight here, that he always thinks, I'm going to make this miracle play between the legs of, I think it was Jonas Brodin. Do you have any idea? Like, is that always going to be him?
That's always going to be him. You're absolutely right. That's always going to be him. He knows he's a playmaker. He knows he can. 9 times out of 10, or 8 times out of 10, or 7 times out of 10, he's going to make that play.
Yeah.
You don't worry about the other 3 times. It's like, okay, whatever. You do what you do. And like Peter DeBoer, when Peter DeBoer would be at coaching clinics, I'd always watch Peter DeBoer's stuff at coaching clinics, and he always would talk about it from a coaching point of view. I can help you get the puck out of the zone. I can even help you get the puck into the zone. But once you're in the zone, and I'm paraphrasing, once you're in the zone, that's you. That's the stuff that you do. And Macklin, you don't even need to help him from one zone to the next. He just takes over everything. That I don't think he can do it any other way. He's so driven in the way that he attacks the game. When he gets the puck, he's thinking, I'm attacking. And every once in a while, you have to remind yourself, this is a 19-year-old kid. He's not going to turn 20 until June next year.
That's wild.
Or is it July? It might be July. But his game is nothing more than just, I can do that. I'm going to go do that. I'm going to attack this guy one-on-one. I can make that pass between the legs. I can make that pass to Will Smith for a one-timer. I can go with the behind-the-back plays. Because he's damn good.
And part of that, too, like the theory behind that is look at the people he's grown up around.
Exactly.
Like all those like super high-end athletes
Steph
that have
Curry.
like, all of them are like, I can do that. I can do that.
Yep.
I can do that. Right? Like it's like second nature, I'm sure, to Celebrini, because he didn't have to all of a sudden discover that he had that ability. He just assumed mentally, we talked so much about the mental game.
Yeah.
He just automatically assumed that I can do that because I've grown up around these other guys who think they can do that as well. We talk about second generation players and different advantages. Growing up in that environment around superstar elite level athletes, like it's impossible for that not to bleed into your sports brain.
His dad, people don't know, Rick, played for the Vancouver Whitecaps, or 86ers, sorry. And then, became this sports performance guru. And Aiden, his brother, and RJ, they're both really good hockey players. I think Charlie is his sister's name. She's a wonderful junior tennis player, won like nationals, I do believe, in Canada. And
of course,
that's the environment that he grew up in. And then, of course, you talk about, Steph Curry and Draymond Green and all the guys that he watched, comes back to San Jose with his dad when his dad went to work for the Warriors, plays for the Junior Sharks. And with Macklin, what's really interesting, though, this is what always makes me laugh, and we kind of have a joke about it. If you want to get Macklin to not talk to you, ask him about himself. Yeah. Ask him about what he's doing right now. And he'll shut you down quick. The other day, I had the bench interview with him. And the last question was, those bench interviews are so riveting. It's rather innocuous question, which was, you're playing the Florida Panthers, 2-time Stanley Cup champions. Do you get up for this game maybe a little extra? And he looked at me like side-eye and went, no. So they're all good teams. And that was it. He didn't want to talk anymore. He doesn't want to talk about himself. He wants to talk about the team. And the other aspect about him is when you watch him when he's on the ice, and then we pan to the bench. When he comes off the ice, he automatically, and I'm not a fan of it, but he automatically turns and grabs the tablet and starts looking, right? Mm-hmm. Because he wants to automatically download that data again as quickly as he can, so he goes out and tries and is better next time. John Tortorella used to say, get those things off my bench, but for the kids nowadays at 19 years old,
no, I honestly for like, listen, I get it. Like part of me is that old school, like this is what I grew up with. Like, no, get the iPads off. And then I look at my kids. You know what they learn from? iPads.
Yeah. iPads, sure, all the time.
Yeah, the only person that's been able to get Macklin to open up is Judy Jupiter, the woman who accosted him outside of that cafe.
No idea, right?
So good.
But you got these two kids who are like, let's face it. I mean, they're young, good-looking kids. And so they're sitting there in New York and they're having a nice day and they're relaxed. And this lady comes over and she starts in. They didn't know who she was. Yeah. But they were so gracious. Here. Yeah. They were so gracious and wonderful. And when she got Will to stand up and do a spin, I was like, no.
Give us a twirl, honey. If you haven't seen the video, try Judy Jupiter and Macklin. Just search it out. You'll find it. Yeah. Drew, I wanted to ask you about the Sharks window right now. So the Duckies are leading the division. They get Quenneville, like a bunch of veterans. All the kids are better. Like Carlson's on an absolute heater. The Mammoth look good. There's a few teams that have been percolating, let's say, that look like they're starting to move up the standings a little bit. Thank you. I'm a writer sometimes. What do you think the window looks like? What's the runway right now for the Sharkies? Like, how many years before they get to kind of where they can jump up and be at the bubble, or are they good enough now to do it? I guess is the question.
I've been in this league for a long time, and the one thing I've learned is that I'm not very smart when it comes to managerial things and where teams are headed for. I don't know. Jeff known me for a long time, and I don't know how many times I told Jeff that the Sharks are going to win the cup this year. So
I believed it every time too.
There's a bunch of years where that was extremely plausible.
I was one of those guys that bit every year. Oh, watch! They're going to dust the wings. Watch this. Yeah, no problem. No, this is like that.
Nope. No. There was one year I was so convinced of it, I took a fucking pie to the face because they couldn't shut down the Kings in the first round.
So, yeah, but I'll say this, because what Mike Greer has done, like pie to the face, I'm just having a moment for a second.
One of them cut my nose. It was terrible.
Really? Well, how hard were they throwing it at you, for crying out loud?
Hey,
a couple of them really wound up.
You get a chance to throw up to get a pie in Wyshynski's face. Like you're not pulling your punch on that one. No. That's not light sparring. No. We're not just doing shoulders and knees. Like we're going for it. No.
Yeah, I think it was Will Wheaton. He was Aaron Rodgers throwing downfield. He hit me with the pie and sliced my nose open with the pie tin. It was a really good time.
That 2014 series against LA, the reverse sweep series. I was doing the NBC Inside the Glass stuff, and game 3, he showed up, he's sitting next to me, and he's wearing a horse's head. Those horse heads. I swear to you.
Sure. Why not,
okay,
right?
I was like, okay. And security actually came over and asked him to take it off after the first period. I don't know why, but I guess.
Why? Why?
Maybe they're fans of The Godfather. I don't know why.
God, maybe he was obstructing the view of the person behind him that was like, I have to sit behind a horse head the entire time.
Yes.
So, all right. Can they make the playoffs this year? Yes or no?
The way Askarov is playing, the way that this team is playing, yes, they can make the playoffs. And I don't know if Mike's going to be happy me saying that, because there's this thing in the NHL where you always want to temper expectations. I think tempering expectations is crazy.
No.
I think, if you ask every player in that room right now today, can this team be a playoff team? They will tell you to a man, yes, we can.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And that's what you want. Now, coaches will take a little bit back off that. And, of course, management will go, just hold on, we're building this. And they're doing a great job building. Mike and his staff have done a fantastic job. They had to tear it down and pay some inheritance tax, so to speak, by trading some guys away. But then they've been able to build and draft and do wonderful things. Mm-hmm. And this team is fun to watch. They were fun last year near the end, as Randy Hahn, my partner, said. I can't remember who we scored against, and it was late in the game, and Randy went, "Ladies and gentlemen, you were watching the most exciting last place team in sports." And he's absolutely right. Yeah,
he's right. I would say this on the show last year. I watched so many San Jose. Greg and I would talk about it. I watched so many San Jose Sharks games just because there's going to be a couple of times in the game where I go, "Wow,
that's chaos."
It's the peak in the future.
So,
it's a peak. In the future.
So I look at it, and I think Alex Wenberg said it after this last Seattle game. We believe in each other, and that's a powerful thing. Belief system within your team is powerful. When I was assistant coach in that third year, we lost 71 games the year before. And then the next year, Kevin Constantine came in. And I was the only guy that was held over from the coaching staff. And we went to work. But eventually, the guys took over. And we didn't have to work anymore. And at the end of it all, we have a 58-point improvement. Never been done before. Hasn't been done since. We beat the Red Wings. We come within a crossbar of beating Toronto.
Johan Garpenloff.
Was that the Urbe series?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Oh. That's why I don't like Mike Gartner to this day, because that other time he scores a lousy goal from behind the goal line. So I like Mike Gartner or Sean Horkoff, but we talk about that later. But anyway, what we talked to Jamie Baker after that, and Jamie Baker's former Shark and broadcaster, great guy, and he said, no offense, but it wasn't you guys after a while. It was each other. I didn't want to let Gaetan Duchesne down or Jeff Rogers down or Igor down. We started playing for each other. He said we had the belief system that if we did things right, play the right way, we were going to be good. We were going to be able to do these things. And so when Alex Wenberg said that to me, he said, we believe in each other in there. It kind of it rang the bell that they do believe in each other. And Vinny Desharnais, loved Vinny Desharnais, said, we know who we are. We know what we can be. Yeah. So yeah, I think if you ask the players, and if you're asking a guy who's usually not very optimistic, I'd say, yeah, they can make it.
I love it. We're heavy on against the clock here, but I'd want to ask you one thing quickly. I hate to put okay, you got 30 seconds on this one, but Joe Thornton. All right, so Joe Thornton finds his corner in the Hockey Hall of Fame finally. When I say the name Joe Thornton, Drew Remenda says what?
Honest, real, from the heart, unabashedly sentimental, wonderful family, and if you were part of it, Joe made sure you were part of it. If you were on the bus, you were on the plane, you were part of it.
He was. You know what? There was that early '70s Boston Bruins team used to have a rule, and it was no matter what, after every game, we all went out together, and you had to stay for one beer. After that, go do whatever.
Yeah,
but we stay for one beer, and then you can go. He's the one guy that would always remind me of that. And everybody goes. That was very true. So when you were going out for dinner, it wasn't just three guys here, three guys there. Yeah. It was, let's go, boys. We're going. And like I said, but the best thing about him, he is 100% authentic. 100% true. That was great to watch. And great to catch up with you. And I love that that Oscar Wilde is over your right shoulder. And you have some interesting wallpaper at your tastefully decorated room there in Calgary. And
try to sleep with that. Try to sleep with that over your head. Right
with Oscar Wilde judging you as you try to sleep.
Welcome to my life, guys. Everybody's judging.
Again, these drapes go where I do. You be well. Thanks, Drew. You're the best.
Great talking to you, my friends.
The great Drew Remenda, analyst for the San Jose Sharks, and
Sharks
one of my favorite people. Oh, they always with Drew. They always have been. I know. Randy Hahn and Drew Remenda, like the best pair going away. I could talk to Drew.
What do you think about the notion of the Sharks as the playoff team this year?
I think 82 games is a lot, and especially for a young team, and kids will hit the wall at different times. First of all, again, this is like my head says no, my heart says yes, and somewhere in between, like that's going to be the tug, and one of those two is going to win. I don't think so, but it would be awesome. Put it this way: if the San Jose Sharks make the playoffs this year, I still don't think that they're at a place where they're okay. Now they're going to make the playoffs every single year for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
That's the thing. If they do, then awesome, but don't treat it as a given. Like, okay, they made the playoffs, now they're going to make it every year.
I kind of feel like they're at a point where like they're like, okay, the joists are in place, the flooring is good, we can go buy that couch now. Like I feel like they're at a point where they can start to build around the core that they have, knowing that it's solid, knowing in Celebrini they might have a Crosby-esque transformative player for their franchise, but I don't think they're good enough to make the playoffs, especially with the way that some of the teams in their division have trended. Like I think the Ducks are for real, and I think the Kraken are for real, and so I think there might be no room at the end for them in the Pacific at this point.
We shall see. All right, a couple of things here.
By the way, I had somebody tell me about Lane Lambert the other day, because our theory was like, hey, this guy is now able to sort of be himself as a coach in his second time around because he's not with the Lou Lamoriello Islanders. And I had someone tell me that would know, like, that was bang on. Like I think their quote was, "You have no idea how difficult it is to coach under Lou Lamoriello." And so I think Lambert's been able to let his freak flag fly a little bit, and I think that those players, in comparison to what Bilesma brought to the table last season, are like, "Oh, this guy's a pro. Like he's given us the systems, he's given us the confidence, he's given us everything we need." And I think that that is the reason for their start, and I think it's going to carry them through to be a contender this year.
They do not surrender odd man rushes.
Which, again, is to me not what they should do. I will say it again. People get very mad at me when I say that the Kraken should not be this good, but we'll leave it at that. I don't want Seattle fans to get mad at me anymore. And if they were a playoff team, then maybe I'll look like an ass because of it. I want to mention the story that I wrote on ESPN, Marek.
Yes.
The biggest surprising performances so far by NHL players this season. I did 10 positive ones, including Leo Carlsson, including Brad Marchand. And then I did 5 shockingly bad performances so far this year. And I will give you that list real quick.
Yes.
Marco Kasper of the Detroit Red Wings. Through 16 games, 3 goals. This was a guy that was set up to be in between Alex DeBrincat and Patrick Kane.
Yep.
He has now been demoted to the third line. And Todd McClellan recently said his play hasn't matched what we expected from him. Your thoughts on Kasper this year?
I would say that the expectations were too high out of the gate. The thing about Marco Kasper, and I will go back even to when I first met him at the Combine, he is mature beyond his years mentally, but that doesn't always translate to the ice. There's still a lot of things you need to learn specifically as an NHL centerman. Like it's hard to play defense in the NHL. It's really hard to play center as well. None of that surprises me. I know he finished off last season in the middle looking really good. It's like, okay, he's going to carry that over into this season. It's going to be off to the races, up they go. We got Dylan Larkin and Marco Kasper, and this is going to be great. I think you always bake into the pie a bunny hop backwards for players like that, and that's what happened. Any concern for me about Marco Kasper? Zero concern about Marco Kasper for me. Zero.
It happened with Lucas Raymond there, where he took a step back a little bit after a really good first season. It happens to players.
No problem.
I think he should be fine. Sam Montembeault. So I have watched with great interest since I knew I was writing this column for ESPN, the discourse amongst Canadiens fans about Sam Montembeault, about how he may have favored nation status amongst some in the media because he is Quebecois, and they're not willing to criticize what has been a horrendous season for this goaltender in Montreal.
He hasn't been good. There have been, I think of, you know what I think of? Outside of that first period against the Philadelphia Flyers, where, listen, these are all power play goals that are going in, but nonetheless, when he made the save on Travis Konechny to end the second period, like the second period, he was spectacular. I know the Montreal Canadiens ended up losing this one in the extra frame, but nonetheless, there have been moments where you've seen the Sam Montembeault that we've seen over the past couple of seasons, but this has been like Jakob Dobish is the new hotness. In Montreal right now, much like we saw with Lankinen last year, saved the bacon for the Vancouver Canucks early on as Thatcher Demko tried to get himself back to health. It's been the same thing for Dobish, but I don't know. I mean, kid gloves for the Quebecois goaltender. I don't know. I don't know how you would even judge that. Like, can you show me examples of it?
And that's why he makes the list, because like you look at the other situations, like Ottawa, both the guys have a lousy save percentage. St. Louis, both the guys have a lousy save percentage. In Montreal, Dobish is completely outplayed Montembeault to the point where you're like, okay, so there's a malfunction here with the other part of the tandem. Have you noticed, by the way, Marek, that the 3 goaltenders that were on Canada's 4 Nations team have all come out of the gate pretty lousy, while a couple of the guys that are chasing them, in particular, Logan Thompson, Darcy Kemper, Spencer Knight, have played really, really well?
No, we don't think about goaltenders a whole lot here in Canada, Greg. So that no one's paying attention whatsoever to what's happening to Canada's goaltending in an Olympic year. I don't know what you're talking about.
The next guy on the list
everyone's noticed. Of course, everybody's noticed, and everyone's having the maybe we go to the right catch guy who maybe should have been there last year.
Let's see. I mean, I saw Luongo was in practice today for Florida because Bobrovsky wasn't there. Maybe you can maybe he's got some gas left in the tank. Who knows?
You sound like
Braden
those old Maple Leafs fans like, Wendell still got one run left in him and Dougie too.
Braden Point, terrible so far. Absolutely terrible so far. It was funny. I told my editor I had Brock Nelson as a reserve for this list in case Braden Point had like a 4-point night against the Rangers last night. Instead, he was like no points, -2. I'm like, you could keep Point on the list. He's been extremely mediocre. And interesting, by the way, already named to the Canadian preliminary roster for the Olympics. He's just been pretty bad, and I think his shot generation is probably the issue. It's down pretty substantially year over year, but man, he is just, I mean, for a guy that is usually pretty dependable in all facets, has just not been good at all for them so far.
The other one, and it hasn't been as bad as the start, but Brandon Hagel speaking of Tampa Bay Lightning, Brandon Hagel had a really bad start too. I told you the force plate story with Braden Point.
No, was it?
There was a team at the draft that had a couple of Western scouts at the table, pounding the table, saying this team needed to take Braden Point, the Moose Jaw Warriors, the Western Hockey League, and someone who swung much influence at the draft table convinced the manager they shouldn't take Braden Point because he had a poor force plate result at the combine, and nobody in the NHL who ever succeeded had as poor a force plate result.
Of course.
At the combine.
That makes total sense. That makes total sense.
They did.
I mean, that's the scene on a Moneyball right there. That's like the scene straight on a Moneyball. Steven Stamkos has 3 goals in 18 games, as everybody knows. I talked to him on Monday. He's trying to keep a stiff upper lip. He told me he hasn't had any conversations with Barry Trotz about his future quite yet. But I mean, this is one of the best goal scorers in the history of hockey, who's on a 14-goal pace right now. And then finally, I didn't realize this until I looked into the numbers. I was unaware how mediocre Mackenzie Weegar has been.
He's had a really, really tough start.
4 assists in 18 games for a guy. I saw some projections, Marek, before the season.
Olympic
that
team?
wondered if he could. If he could lead the Flames in points, based on his offensive output the last couple of seasons. It's been not there for him, and he's a -17 at last check too, which is, I mean, they're a poo-poo team, but like that's pretty bad.
Plus minus is a reflection of the shooting percentage and save percentage of the players around you and the goaltender you have. The flawed stat I get when it's egregious both ways, or when it's egregious to the negative. I know you have sort of raised your eyebrow about it. Whenever a team is going through what Calgary is going through, I think you take a lot of these numbers with a grain of salt, because I think if you put Mackenzie Weegar on, pick your team, you put Mackenzie Weegar,
Colorado.
That's the go-to for everybody. Imagine if they were on Colorado right now, how good they would be. Look how good Brent Burns looks. Look how good Manson looks.
Oh, well, I mean, and that's to say, by the way, that the guy that I was going to put on this list, if Point popped off last night, was Brock Nelson, who is on Colorado and who's been lousy.
Hey, by the way, on the positives here, I got to hustle and get on Tyler's show. On the positives, do you have the return of Chris Kreider?
I do not have the return of Chris Kreider, but that is actually a really good one. I was trying to keep it at to one guy per team. And so I had to put Leo Carlson as the guy, as the biggest shocker. That's just the point. I had Spencer Knight, Brad Marchand, Dawson Mercer, who was great again last night.
Yeah.
Matthew Schaefer coming out of the gate. And of course, how could you have a list of the 10 most shocking performances of the season so far, Marek, without having cult icon Kiefer Sherwood on the list, baby? On pace for 57 goals, a shooting percentage of 30%. Vying for the Rocket Richard against Nathan McKinnon and Sidney Crosby. It is Kiefer Sherwood's world, sir. We are just living in it.
And if you're Kiefer Sherwood, as much as you want to stay loyal to the Vancouver Canucks, and they were the team that never gave up on you, unlike Nashville, unlike Anaheim, you're 30 years old, and this is your chance to ring the bell.
Buddy, he's a UFA after this season. Based on these stats, I'd go 13 times 8 with him. If I were the Vancouver Canucks, you gotta pay for the work that's being done, and by God, he is a Rocket Richard candidate. By the way, he is having the most video game glitch season of anybody in the NHL right now.
1 assist.
He's got 11 goals and 1 assist.
1 assist.
That is play until a day on the old NHL 95 game, and then like
That's
Steve
awesome.
Ruchin ends up with 82 goals and no assists. Like, this is a video game glitch season so far for Kiefer Sherwood.
Wow, I'm happy I just heard Steve Ruchin's name. University of Western Ontario, Anaheim Duck legend. Wow, who I worked with for a couple of days when he was trying his hand at broadcasting. Wow, you just made my day, Steve Ruchin. I hadn't thought about that name in a long time. That was good. I'm feeling good about myself here. Okay, I got a couple of things to do here, and then got to get on Tyler's show. So you have a great rest of your day. And
thanks, everybody.
We'll talk to you on Tuesday. There he is.
Enjoy the Jets tonight.
There he is, Greg Wyshynski from ESPN and ESPN.com, Tuesdays and Thursdays here on the sheet. We got to boogie through a couple of different things here. We'll start with Hungry for Hockey History, which is a presentation of Uber Eats. Uber Eats is enabling fans to maximize their fandom all season long with exclusive game day deals on the app. From game day eats to paper plates and napkins if you're hosting, to all the ingredients you need to make your favorite game day dip before, during, and after the game, Uber Eats is assisting every fan's hockey experience all season long. What do you got for us today, Zach?
Yep, we got 3 today. A little bit older ones on these ones, but we're going to start... back in 1934, Ralph Bowman of the St. Louis Eagles scores the first penalty shot goal in NHL history in a 2-1 loss to the Montreal Maroons. It was the second attempt in NHL history, but the first penalty shot goal. 1968, the Blues beat the Rangers 3-1 at MSG while using 3 different goalies. Glenn Hall starts, Robbie Irons comes in, and then Jacques Plante comes down from the press box, dresses, and stops 22 of 22 for the win. And then in 1984, Bernie Nichols becomes the first player ever to score in all 4 periods of a game. He scored in each of the 3 regulation periods, and again in OT to give the Kings a 5-4 win over the Nordiques.
I'll take the oldest of the old school here to do a little wrap on that. That's Ralph Bowman, 1934, the second ever penalty shot in the NHL, the first successful penalty shot in the history of the NHL. The way they did penalty shots there was goaltenders had to stay in place in the net. They could not move more than a foot away from the goal line, and there was an area, a circle, which would be just sort of between what we know as the blue line and the hash marks, where players had to take their shot from. They could pick any place in that circle. They could skate up to it, but they had to take a single shot. This all comes from the Patrick family of the old Pacific Coast League. By this time, Lester would have been running the New York Rangers of the NHL. But you know what's interesting about that one? And this rule changed in, I want to say, 41 or 42. After the penalty shot, the team still got a power play. That's the way they did it. So if you were hauled down and missed your scoring opportunity, you got a penalty shot, and then your team went on the power play. It wasn't an either or. Now it's turned into an either or. It's like, oh, send him at the dot, or no, we want to kill time and get the power play. It was, you got both. I like that idea. If you're all about goals in the NHL and you want more goals, don't make it either or. You get hauled down on a breakaway, guess what? You get a penalty shot, and your team goes on the power play.
Yeah, I mean,
take both.
I kind of hate it, but I also kind of like it because of the goals. Also, I mean, look, I'm not good enough to do the job, and I'm the guy yelling from the couch. But they're a little stingy on the penalty shot calls nowadays. Anyways, could you imagine what would happen if they knew the repercussions of it? Where it's like
shot and a power play,
penalty shot, and then they're gonna get the power play.
Awesome! I love it.
Maybe not.
I love it. I absolutely love it. All right, there you go. Hungry for Hockey History, presented by our friends at Uber Eats. Also, it's the NHL season, and FanDuel is your home for all the action on the ice. The sheet is powered by FanDuel. Play your game with FanDuel. From Blue Line to BetSlip, we've got you covered all season long with unique promos, live offerings, and more features to let you play your game. If you've missed Puck Drop, don't sweat it. With a live same-game parlay, you can build up your bets until the final buzzer. Download FanDuel Sportsbook today and play your game. Please play responsibly, 18 plus, and physically located in Ontario. If you have questions or concerns about your gambling or the gambling of someone close to you, please contact Connects Ontario at 1-866-531-2600 to speak to an advisor free of charge. Zach.
So as you can imagine, I'm not the most, I don't know what you want to call it, like in tune with like history and the arts and that kind of stuff. It's basically just like sports and that's it. So the naming of this one would have been so much better if I knew what the hell I was talking about when I put it together, but it still kind of works. So this parlay is a focus on tonight's Kings and Leafs game.
Okay.
You'll see exactly what I mean when I unveil this. This one is titled this because if this parlay hits tonight, it will in fact be the Last Supper in Toronto. Whether it's for the players or the coach or whoever, I don't know. But I thought this was so much smarter to call it the Last Supper because I was like, well, it was all the kings and knights and stuff at the dinner table. No, it was not. I have no idea. It is the 12 apostles and Jesus. Not even close to kings and knights. No. So I
appreciate the mea culpa, and we'll just move along and talk about Quentin Byfield. Did you ever watch him play at YSC, by the way?
Yes, and so when I played for the Waxers, his age group that he was playing for, because he was playing 2 years up maybe at that time, they used to play the games before us in Markham, and when we would play at York Simcoe. So when I was playing for the Waxers at that time, we got to see him like 4 times a year, 5 times a year. Yeah, we would go out and they would be like, oh, the Waxers are losing 9-1, and then we'd ask the scorekeeper, like, what's Byfield got? And he's like, well, he's got 7 goals and 2 assists tonight.
And you watch him. Okay. Like, I remember watching him at YSC, and it's like everybody's like, remember those old videos of like everybody bouncing off Eric Lindros as he would skate down the ice? Like that's what he was. He was like Eric Lindros coming down the ice, and guys trying to hit him and just bouncing off of him. It was incredible. He could do whatever he wanted. Whatever he wanted. Oh. Yeah.
It would be picking up the puck. That was one of the funny things, too. You know, in minor hockey, when it's like I'm just going to wheel, I'm going to fly up the ice. Yeah. Picking it up behind the net, you could see it. You're like, here you go. Here we go. It was like, pick it up, skate through everybody. And it was like, not even just going as fast as you can with power and nobody can catch me. It would be, okay, well, I'm going to slow it down a little bit over here and then speed it up from the blue line to the red line, and then I'm going to toe drag 3 guys in a row, and then I'm going to go back around the offensive zone, circle back, and then go and take a shot. And it's like, what the hell is going on?
And he always used such
Sean Day, Chikrin kind of stuff.
I know, and he always used a really short stick. And he still used a short stick when he got to the NHL.
True.
And I think it's only the last couple of years that's been kind of corrected more, because I always like hunched over when he played too. Anyhow, Quentin Byfield.
Oh, just for people who didn't see it on the screen, that would be a Byfield goal, a Trevor Moore goal, and the LA Kings to win by 2 or more. That is $5, pays you $114.16 tonight.
And then what happens after the Toronto Maple Leafs what happens after the Toronto Maple Leafs game tonight? You get on the air.
Get on the line.
We shall see what happens. No Austin Matthews in this one, as we all know.
Or Stolars.
Ditto for Anthony Stolars. Okay, we got to hustle here. I got to get to Oilers Nation every day in a couple of seconds here with Tyler and Liam. So on that, we'll bid you good day, whether you're watching or listening or interacting in the chat. We appreciate all of it as always. Implore you once again to please subscribe to our Daily Faceoff YouTube channel and leave all the likes and the appropriate comments, whether you're listening or whether you're watching. So your Spotify's and your Apple Pods, etc., or right here if you're watching on YouTube. Thanks for the attention. Thanks for the fun. We are back tomorrow at 1 o'clock Eastern. Andy Petrillo will be stopping by. Andy's got a new book, Just Call Me Andy, Sports Stories from a Trailblazer. Andy's going to be aboard, and Dave Pagnotta as well, Daily Faceoff Insider. So big show for you tomorrow. In the meantime, conduct yourselves accordingly. Tip your Zamboni driver. Enjoy the games tonight. And we'll talk to you at 1 Eastern tomorrow. Jeff Merrick along with you. I hope you enjoyed the program today. If you did, or maybe even if you didn't, they can't all be gems, folks. Please hit the subscribe button. Also a reminder, every morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, Johnny Lazarus, Colby Cohen, I call them the Impact Players. You might know them as a tandem that makes up the Morning Cup of Hockey. Also DFO Live at noon Eastern. This year, your host Tyler Yaremchuk alongside Carter Hutton. full day's worth of programming right here on Daily Faceoff, your favorite YouTube hockey channel. And as a reminder as well, Zach Phillips, our producer here for The Sheet, said if you subscribe, he'll buy